Hi, just doing my vlog. I hope you guys are having a great morning. I'm feeling better today. I felt like pretty shitty the last few days. I guess it's roid rage, but I guess it's going down now. I feel a lot better and I don't feel like I'm in such a bad place, although I am hungry. So I don't really know what I want to talk about today, but I thought I'd just kind of touch on PTSD a little bit. It's something that I think is a little bit underplayed. Um, to those people who have not been in like a direct war or in the military, I think that when you look it up online, there's a lot of stuff about that, but not a whole lot about like people who have PTSD by other means. I'm not saying there's nothing. I mean, I think there are support networks and stuff out there, but when you look it up online, mainly you'll get, the war stuff, and that is real. And I've never had to do that in that way, but I get it. But there are PTSD that comes from mental abuse, and that lives in your head. You can't, like, it's almost like the way that some people are wired as children. It will really, really fuck with your head for the rest of your life. And if there's one thing that I just cannot stand and cannot tolerate, are people who will directly care so little about you that they will fuck with your brain and wire it to their advantage. So my particular case of PTSD comes from very, very long, drawn out process of being mentally abused and neglected mentally for a large, huge portion of my life. And it wasn't just me. My siblings suffered too, and continue to do so, although one of them is dead. So I'm not going to touch on a whole lot of that today, but it's a pretty deep story. And like I said, if you have like a similar story, like where you have complex PTSD and it's hard for you to like find ways to deal with it or get, as I always say, catharsis, I just like to explore that a little bit because I think it's a little underplayed. There are people in the world who have been, it's almost like they took your brain, and like there are new treatments like ketamine, and there's like a helmet that you can put on now that's supposed to like get the neurons or something going. I'm open to both of those, although at the moment I am on ketamine therapy. It helps, but I'm not sure. I've not only been on it for about a month, so I've noticed that is making my head clearer, which is weird because it's a dissociative. So we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, it's supposed to unwire all the hardwire shit that people done did to you that makes you all fucked up. So I don't know if it's gonna work, but I have felt better and more clear, and I don't wake up angry anymore, like not as often. And even when I do, it's not as intense. So it must do something. Anyway, I'm not putting that out there for anybody else to do. I'm just saying that's what I've done. One way that I try to deal with depression and anxiety. I have an immense amount of anxiety. I don't think there's one. You could probably look at me and tell that I'm always anxious. I'm always moving. I talk fast. Would it be surprise you to know I drink espresso? So I have an immense amount of anxiety, and that anxiety permeates my entire existence. And on the ketamine therapy, I feel like that's getting a little better. Like I said, it's supposed to have long-term benefits, but I hate, and I'm just going to say K-hole, because I don't think you can do any ketamine without a freaking K-hole. So anyway, I don't like that part. It's like 15 minutes of just sitting there feeling stupid, and then it goes away, and then I can live my life, because I take like various doses during the day, like, because I don't want a giant dose of ketamine. Why would I? Anyway. I don't know why I'm going on about that. I'm just sharing what's going on in my life. So that is what is happening to me now. I also use RSO. I make my own Rick Simpson oil, but I eat it. I don't make it out of rubbing alcohol. I make it with ethanol. And I have a machine that vacuums out the ethanol and leaves the RSO in there. And then I take that medically 4 times a day. just to keep my anxiety under control. And I'm still fucking anxious no matter what the fuck I do. Because the bitches that hardwired me made it that way. I was also conditioned as a child, parentified and everything else. Although, low key, the people that parentified me will deny that they parentified me because that's what they do. You know, no, that wasn't the way it goes. You're crazy. No, it didn't happen. Yes, it did. It did happen. I have, like, okay, no, I'm not going to go into that right now, but know that PTSD is real. And when you have somebody that is actively looking to live their own life and is supposed to be taking care of you, who did not take care of you, but instead used you, and while they were using you, made you feel like complete shit, and like your life didn't matter, and you're just an object to them. This hairbrush will brush my hair. I don't need it anymore. Those were the motherfuckers that abused me. Did you have a similar situation? Because I'd really like to hear about it. You see how angry that makes me? I don't like being used. And it turned out that it took me till my 40s to realize what the fuck had happened to me, what the fuck was done to me. And I walked out. I walked out completely. I don't have anything to do with those people anymore, and I never will. They can fuck right off. And I mean that. And I don't recommend estrangement. Like, I don't recommend it as a thing. I think that you should ultimately try and try and try. And I did. I tried and I tried and I tried. But the bitch was never going to see me as a human being. Not ever. I was a poorly drawn caricature. A poorly drawn caricature of a cartoon, not even a crayon drawing. And that's all that person ever saw me as. A crayon drawing of a petulant child. And I was never allowed to grow, and neither were my siblings. And it sucked. And so now I'm anxious all the time. I don't believe anybody loves me. When I'm crazy. Yeah, I was just sorry. I'm not editing. Anyway. I have a hard time bonding with anyone because I did not bond well with, just about anyone. And when I did manage to bond with somebody, I was ripped away. I'm not going to sit here and say that the people that abused me were all bad and that they never did anything nice or good. I'm not going to go there, you know. I guess my point is just because you're family, it doesn't mean you have to love each other. And just because somebody should love you doesn't mean that they do. And even if they think they do, the evidence just doesn't point that way. Isn't that how juries work? You're supposed to be impartial and look at the fucking facts. And bitch, I could give facts all day, but I'm not going to go there because I'm not trying to trash anybody. But that's how I feel. I'm anxious all the time because people done fuck me up. Now, there's responsibility there too. I say, oh, well, I need to heal. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I think this is part of it. So whoever's listening, I really appreciate you listening to me just rage about the motherfuckers that fuck me up. Because I know that anyone listening to this is probably fucked up too. Not a bad thing. I don't mean that in a bad way. And if you're fucked up, you know what I mean. So if you know, you know. You know? So where are you people that are fucked up in the head and nobody acknowledges it because you weren't directly in a war? You were in a war. You believe that. You were in a war and you survived. You were in a war. Don't let anybody tell you you weren't. You were in the trenches. And while there are not as many physical scars, because I was never beaten, I had everything that I needed. From all looks and appearances, I was a bad child. Just a bad child. Just, I can't be controlled. And you can imagine I was probably a hellfire. And I was. There were things that I did that I shouldn't have done. But I will tell you this. The person that fucked me up the most, everything I did to that person, I do not regret. I do not regret a fucking thing I did. At all. Not ever. Not even back in the day. Nope. The bitch can die under a mountain of fucking trash. Okay? And that's just how I feel. And that's just me personally. Okay? But we can either try to mend relationships or not mend relationships. And I will never go back to that because I will never give my time or attention to anybody who does not value me as a human being. There were times when I was almost dead. I'm not kidding. I was almost dead. I was like 500 pounds and almost dead when this person did not care at all about me. Now that person will say different, but I know different. I know they didn't care about me because the evidence is there. They only took me medically where they needed to take me. And even then they bitched about it. And when I left that situation, I don't even want to guess what my fucking weight was, but I was almost dead. And if I hadn't left, I would have died. So don't let anybody tell you that you weren't at war, because I know there are other stories out there just like it. So in my 40s, see, basically, here's the situation. I had a brother who was schizophrenic, okay? And me and him were kind of war buddies together. We didn't have anybody but each other. And there were times when I needed him, and there were times when he needed me. He wasn't always schizophrenic. It kind of progressed into his later years, which I get into in another video. But anyway, there was a person in my life who was a caregiver, and they put us together. And then while they did that, there was a time then that person took half of my brother's welfare check or his disability check. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to use that word. That's not what I meant. And would not give us the other half. There were times that they put roadblocks up against us. I could go on and on. I mean, I could detail it. And I just might. Anyway, when I got to be in my 40s, my mother did not believe that I had my husband, who's my husband now, in my life, because we met online and we were not together physically. And I was just getting fatter and fatter and fatter. So this person believed that this person would never want to be with me in a million years, and still treated me like trash. Also told me I could leave at any time. Just go ahead, go. You're not responsible for your brother. You don't need to do that. No way. But that wasn't true. You know what I heard? You know what I know? You know what I listened to on a conversation that she was having? Yeah, it was my mother. Okay, anyway. Had a conversation with my now husband that I listened to that said, don't you know Cindy has responsibilities? What are you going to do about my brother? My mother always said that I could leave. But that wasn't true. She didn't want me to leave. My mother hooked me and my brother together so that we could never leave each other. We could never thrive. And my brother's dead now. In another video that I'll get to. My brother's dead. And it is directly due to these circumstances. I got out. And my family had no idea what to do to my brother. So they just neglected him, married him off to another schizophrenic. And I wasn't there, and I don't know everything. But I do know what happened. And here's what happened. He died, and then she died not even a month later. So, anyway, it's a lot, isn't it? So I guess I'm just ranting. But you see what happens when you fuck someone up? Anyway, around 42, I got out, and I moved in with my husband. And it just got worse with my brother. He was wilding out, I guess. Crazy. And my family, they don't do that kind of stuff well. Not that part of my family anyway. I do have members of my family I love very much. Aunts, uncles, cousins. But I see a lot of estrangement stuff. There's this lady online who's like just making like a big to-do about her daughter not talking to her. Fuck you, okay? If your daughter's not talking to you, that's your fucking fault. And if you're not reaching out to her and only reaching out to her to like, if you really love that bitch, you'd be fucking talking to her. If my son didn't talk to me, I would be knocking down his door every motherfucking day. There would be nothing. I'd be like, oh, I just still love you. I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still here. But that's me. Not everybody's me. But it just makes me angry to see these bitches be so fucking narcissistic when they done hardwired their children to be anxious every day of their fucking lives. So I'll speak because that's what I'm doing, right? We're speaking. Fuck you for fucking me up. I'm just putting it out in the ether. I don't think the bitch will ever see it because she's old and hopefully she dies under a mountain of garbage soon. But you see what I mean? If this bitch did not fuck me up this much, would I be saying this? And while the other girl that the lady's talking about, this estranged parents bullshit, I don't blame that girl for not coming on and saying my mother's full of fucking shit. Because my mother is full of fucking shit. She tried to make me look crazy, like every chance that she got. It was the movie Gaslight all over the place. No matter what I did, my perception was wrong. I was inconsiderate. Just a shit ton of projection telling me I was what she actually was. Because that's what narcissists do, right? They tell you what they are. So next time a narcissist calls you inconsiderate, you just tell them to fuck right off. Just kindly fuck right the fuck off. So I guess this is catharsis. Fuck you, Mom. Fuck you. Die under a mountain of garbage.